Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time since I've posted. It's felt like forever, and we are in February officially. We are officially in February. Our kind of talk today is going to relate to what February is kind of about in the secular standpoint, I guess. And I guess you could say the religious standpoint. I'm not going to leak it. I'll tell you guys here in a few seconds, minutes, how long I do my intro for. But welcome back to another Eating Game podcast. It's been a century since I feel like it's been centuries since I've posted a podcast. It's cold, but it feels warm because we've had a lot of cold weather recently. We're back out here, ready to do more podcasts this year. This could be the first podcast of the year, and hopefully not the last of the year. It's kind of dark. Anyways, our plan for the scheduling this year for podcasts, I think we're going to try to do one, depending on how life goes. Hopefully one every week. We'll go from there. We'll start from there. Maybe one every other week, or one, or twice a week when it gets to summertime, when I got more time on my hands, when I'm bored, or if I have an idea that springs to mind, I'm like, okay, I might as well go do this. Or if I'm not doing something, I'm like, this is a good place for a podcast. Might as well do one, right? Anyways, besides the point, I'll probably do a whole video on the year plan, right? Anyways, today's podcast starts a whole new section, philosophy. The philosophy, it's very sacred. It's very secular sometimes. It's very confusing. It's very fun, I guess you'd say. It's very challenging. Takes a lot of thinking. And I guess to define it is, I don't know really what the definition of philosophy is. I guess it's the learning, or I guess it's the teaching of life. I feel like that's a good description of philosophy. The teaching of life. What is life? Why is it important? Morality. What makes something good or bad? Like torture or slavery, or feeding the hungry, or giving alms. Right? Morality. Kind of all that stuff. It gets really deep, and I think it's really fun. So we're gonna do a lot of podcasts on philosophy now and then, but we're gonna do a philosophical video today that can go hand in hand with secular and religious. So the thing I was talking about February being kind of like what I'm going to be talking about in the video is, what is love, right? What is really love? We haven't talked about this in other videos before, but yeah, this is gonna be a fun episode. So love, what is love? Love is compassionate. Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is gentle. Love is not cruel to one another. I'm just gonna say it how I think what was it, Corinthians? I think it was Corinthians. So who wrote Corinthians? Was it Paul? Paul. I will get Paul and John mixed up. Those two great writers of the New Testament. I want to say it was Paul. Don't quote me on that. But yes, so love in this world of secularness, we'll take it from a sacred standpoint today, religious standpoint from today. Love is very misunderstood, I think, and even today's standpoint of politics, and even in a religious stance. I feel like love is so widely used for bad. It's not used for good anymore. And love can be good. Love is good. Jesus showed us that in the Gospels, and God shows us that every day in our lives, that love is good. Right? And we should love one another, because love is good, love is gentle, love is kind, love is patient. And I want to go on, love is patient. We're going to be branching out here. We're not going to be talking about one subject for a very long time, but patience. Love is patient. What does that mean? Does that mean love is waiting for you? Does that mean you're waiting for love? That's where the philosophical stuff kind of gets in here. Do you really think that love is important, right? Is love necessary for human desires, I guess? For human life, is love... Well, I guess, yes. I guess the answer to that is yes. But is love, for, I guess, since there's so many humans on Earth, is love necessary for somebody who doesn't want love, right? Do you need love to live? So this is kind of the question that we're going to be answering here in the video today. Back to love is patient, right? Love is patient. Do you wait for, I guess, love? And the real question is, I would say, if you want the type of love that you want, I would say yes. I think that if you chase love, when you chase love, you go down so many dark rabbit holes where you feel like love is basically can be manipulating at some points. You can feel that love is manipulating you to feel a certain way, which it is, and but also can make you feel like you're actually loved person, that you're important, right? So it depends on how you use love. Obviously, love can be used for bad and good. We talked about that earlier. So yes. Now, to the question of this, love that God shows us is better than what the world shows us, which is, if you're religious, obvious. If you're not believe in God, then obviously click off this video, because we're gonna be this session about love is gonna be with God, right? Honestly, I guess the biggest show in love is marriage, right? That's kind of solidifies your love with another person. Now, in the Catholic point of view, I guess we're jumping from a bunch of point of views. A little confusing. Catholic point of view, love. You can be a priest and you could be married to the church. You can be a sister. You can be married to the church, to Jesus. Priests, sisters, nuns, right? Sisters and nuns are married to Jesus, and the priests are married to the church, right? That's a type of love that's shown in the Catholic Church, where you don't have to be married, which I think is very powerful, influential, and important, because no other church, except the Orthodox Church, I'm not sure if the Orthodox Church does have nuns. That's a great question, actually. Does the Orthodox Church have nuns or sisters? I don't think so. I think it's all run by priests, whatever they call them. But it's something that stands out. All other churches. Now, the closest church to the Catholic Church is the Orthodox Church, obviously, because they're basically hand in hand, other than the dates and when they celebrate things and how they celebrate things. So that's the Catholic point of view on love, right? Is now for the deeper question: is love? Now that we've defined love, what is love? What is love in the Catholic Church? What is love in the Christian world? Right? What is love in the secular world? Love in the secular world is, I want to say love in the secular world is lust. But to be fair, even religious people suffer with lust. It's a human deficiency. It's just how we're made, right? Now, it doesn't mean we have to fall into this sin. When Jesus is tempted in the Gospels, he's tempted 3 times. One in the desert for food, one in the temple with throwing himself off the temple on top and letting the angels save him, and a third time and giving him the whole world. Jesus is tempted, and he can say yes to whatever he wants to, but he never does. This shows you something, that when you're tempted with lust, doesn't necessarily mean you have to fall into it, right? And I think that's highly important. I think that's highly important to any sin, in any standard, really, that you can be tempted with a sin, you just can't fall into it. And in our day and age, that's so overlooked, because we don't care about others, or how that may affect others, or how, I guess, in the secular point of view, that's how we only look at it, is how, I guess, it affects others. But sacred world, it's both God and others. But we live in such a selfish world, and I'm not trying to be self-righteous here. I'm not selfish. I am selfish. We all are selfish sometimes, and that's why we are sinners. This is why, right? This is the question, right? We all sin, and it's, again, going back to Jesus' time in the temple where he got tempted, doesn't mean we don't have to fall into the sin. Right. So love in the secular world is love as it is in this sacred world, but it's a little more twisted, a little more, I guess, perverted, you could say. I guess disgusting, if you go as far as you say that. Maybe not disgusting. Disgusting is a big word. Excuse me. I'm trying to think of any more words to describe that love in the secular world. I guess love in the secular world is just, I think, it's caring, I guess. I can't really think, other than, more twisted in the Catholic Church or the Christians. I guess that's the really only way to say it. It's more twisted than it is in the actual love in the Christian world. Anyways, so to close off this video, this is a really brief description of love and do we need love. That's the question that I said. Do we need love? Right? Is love necessary for human life? Again, I already said obviously you do, but there's so many people in this world. Do we need it now? Right? Here it is. This is the final question I'm going to answer, and these questions should be answered by you. Right? Do you need love to survive? Aristotle, I think, talks about how man needs friends to live, which is completely true. Don't get me wrong. You'd be a psychopath, and you would lose your cool, and you would completely lose it. You would be insane if you didn't have friends. But where do we draw the boundary? How long do we need friends for? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it a few days? Is it a year? Is it 10 years? Is it 100 years? Do we not need friends at all? Right? Answer that question yourself. I think I would answer to that question. How long would I last? I think it could go a week without feeling like, oh my gosh, there's nobody around me. I'm extremely lonely. I want to die. Right? That's kind of how I would say. Right? But do we need love? Do we need friends? Do we need love? I guess yes and no. If you want to feel wanted. If you are someone who wants to feel wanted, sure, love is important. But if you can feel wanted in any stance, I guess, if no matter if you're loved or not, you can feel wanted, even if you weren't in love with somebody. And I think that's a common misconception. In order to be wanted, you have to be in love with somebody. In order to be perfect, or in order to be, I guess, popular, you have to be. I'll go as far as that. In order to be popular, you have to be loved. Or you have to have love. I guess I'm talking about love in this stance of marriage and that's kind of the way I've been talking about it most of this podcast, that I'm talking about it in marriage, right? Or in not just friendship or like, not in friendship, right? Or just kindness. I'm talking about love in like the marriage stance. So I guess love in the marriage stance, it's not necessary. We don't all need to be married. I guess we do, but I guess for human reproduction. But I guess we don't. I'm trying to word it correctly. We don't need the type of love that the secular world wants, the twisted love. Now, I would say that the answer, do we need love, is yes. Jesus teaches us that we need to love one another as he has loved us. So the simple answer to it is yes. But that's not even the complete answer to it. How do we love? Why do we love? What's the psychology behind love? Right? And honestly, how important is love in our Catholic world? Or in a Catholic mind, in a Christian mind? How important is love? It's extremely important. And that's my answer. And I would like you to kind of answer those questions by yourself throughout this video if you watch it to the end. Thank you for watching to the end if you have. But somebody feels so deep and empty when they don't feel loved. And it's a patch that only Jesus can solve. Now, you can go to the world and say, hey, I want to be loved. Let's go get a girlfriend, boyfriend, let's go get married. That won't solve your problems. I'm here to tell you that. I'm sorry to say that, but in order to feel completely loved, your heart is missing a piece. And that piece is Jesus. Think of it like this. We are puzzles. The puzzles are filled, us puzzles are filled with all the worldly things, right? We're filled with, the greed, the kindness, the joy, like we don't care about God, right? That's kind of like the puzzle pieces of the world that gives us, right? And then we get the puzzle pieces. We're missing 2 puzzle pieces. And we need to finish the puzzle, right? Those 2 puzzle pieces can only be filled by Jesus' love. And guess what? They're the biggest pieces in the puzzle. We need those pieces in order to survive. If a heart doesn't have one part of the heart, it's dead. The heart doesn't exist. Same thing with God's puzzle. If the puzzle doesn't have 1 or 2 pieces, it's not finished. Our lives aren't finished until we truly meet Christ and the love that he gives us. That was just a brief talk about love today. Obviously, I could go way deeper. I haven't studied much about it. I could watch a bunch of Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, all the great philosophers of all time, right? I recommend that you watch some philosophy. I think it's very important. What is your philosophy, right? Find out how our lives are meant to be lived. And, honestly, I find philosophy so far, I've only been doing it for a while. I mean, I don't do deep philosophy, obviously. I don't like to do it for a living. But I like watching videos on it because it makes me feel important, I guess, and it helps me grow in my faith, I would say. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for just subscribing if you have. And I will see you guys in the next one, whatever that is. God bless you all. Stay cool. Stay kind. God bless.